Hey everyone, this is Yenta. I'm making a follow-up video on the defensive ZvP flow versus Forge Expand for new Zerg players. There have been a lot of questions about how to adapt to Gate Expand first. Um, so let's go over that in this video. I have two replays prepared for you. These are going to be from the defensive point of view. Usually you play versus for Usually you play versus Gate Expand a little bit more aggressively, but as this is aimed towards new Zerg players, probably the best way for us to play is to continue playing defensively. So it's not going to be optimal, but it should put you in a position where you will be able to deal with it and continue on with your build. Because really, this really comes down to is ordering of things that you're going to be doing. Remember, to win versus Protoss, we need to scale, right? We need to have three components to the scaling. We need to have economy, we need to have our upgrades, and we need to have our tech, preferably Hive. When we have those three things and we have them fast, then we're going to be in a good spot to win the game. And when we're going versus Forge, we first prioritize econ and tech, then massing units, because the Protoss is not being aggressive towards us. They can't really be aggressive towards us, except really with a cannon cheese or something. But they're not going to do that if we open Overpool, because Overpool shuts that down. So Overpool and scouting. So make sure you're Overlord scouting so that a sneaky probe doesn't go into your base and like cannon your base. But Overpool shuts that down. So we can follow a script, and that's the script from the previous video. The defensive ZvP flow versus Forge Expand for new Zerg players. If you haven't seen that yet, watch that first and then come back to this video. So let's talk about how that script behaves versus Gateway Expand. Versus Gateway Expand, the Protoss now has tools to be aggressive. And we need to prioritize different things. We can no longer prioritize econ and tech, because if we prioritize econ and tech, we're not going to have units to deal with the aggression. So we need to prioritize juggling econ and units, then tech. And we try to minimize the amount of units we need to make to defend and maximize the econ that we can get away with in the first part of the game. Instead of following a script, we have to improvise. So this can be a very hard skill for new Zerg players. If you're just following a script, just getting your econ and your tech, following a build, a very rigid build, the game, it could be practiced. You can go into single player, you could practice it, you can get quite good at it. But as soon as you need to improvise, you need to realize the state of the game. You need to be watching your overlords, seeing exactly how many zealots they have and reacting to that, seeing that they have Corsair up, reacting to that. Then it starts getting much harder. But these are all fundamentals that you're going to have to learn anyways as you progress up the ranks. Anyways, long intro. Let's head into the actual replays. The first one I'm going to show you is just a very quick replay of how your build can change, how your build is going to get restructured versus this kind of gateway first build. So I'm not going to go super into depth because there is no exact build order here. That's where the improvisation comes in. The shape of the first 7, 8, 9 minutes of the game is going to be different depending on what happens. Is the Protoss player being super aggressive, just keeps on chugging zealots at you, or is the Protoss player going to pretend to be aggressive but then keeps all their zealots at home and never uses them, right? So that can drastically change what happens, how many lings you have left and stuff like that, how multitasks you were, how much of the build you were able to do in the meantime while handling this aggression. But overall, we're trying to get to the basic setup for 5 Hatch Hydras. So that's the first 7 minutes and 30 seconds. We're not going to get there in 7 minutes and 30 seconds because there's going to be stuff going on and we're not going to be able to econ heavily. So we're going to be delayed. We're probably going to get there around 8 minutes and 30 seconds, maybe around 9 minutes. It all depends on the game. But your goal is to reorganize the first part of the game to get down to 5 hatcheries, get your Hydra, get your +1 started, and get your layer started. You want to be in that place. And once you get to that place, the game becomes normal again, and you can go back on script. That's what we're going to try to tackle here. So this is just normal stuff, hiding the drone in case the probe comes in. Probe didn't come in, so I go and make my hatchery. I'm scouting with my drone. It's cross positions because I didn't find him here. So I make one pair of lings, only one drone. Now I'm pooling larvae, chasing the probe. Now I see that its gate expand. And as soon as I see its gate expand, I need to make more lings. So already you see, compared to opening versus forge expand, we're making these safety lings way earlier. We're making them before we hit our 18 of 18 kind of bottleneck, supply bottleneck. Whereas in the other build, the other scripted build, we were making them after 18 of 18, after the Overlord pops from the supply block at 18 of 18, because that's about the time when there could be some Zealots trickling in later, like a later Zealot move out off of Forge Expand. So what is the Protoss doing? Well, the Protoss isn't doing much of anything. Uh, so we drone a little bit. So so how many lings do you need to deal with Zealots, slow Zealots? You probably want 4 lings for every single slow Zealot. But we're also have defender's advantage since we're playing defensively. So how many Zealots do we have to plan for dealing with at 3 minutes and 18 seconds? Well, if you look and check how long it takes a Zealot to make, it's about 25 seconds. Usually the gateway is up at about a minute and 54. So that means from a minute 54, a minute 55, just to make the math easier, the Protoss player could in theory be making 1 Zealot every 25 seconds. So we're at 318. That means at most, um, at most, he's going to be at 4 Zealots at this point in time. However, he's not just making Zealots and probes, he's also making a Nexus, he's also making a Forge. Maybe he's making directly a Cyber and an Assimilator. So probably around this time, we can say he's got 2, maybe 3 Zealots. By the time they get to us, we'll know if we need to make more lings. If they get to us and we don't have enough lings to deal with it, we can run back, we can run our drones, run our lings back to our drone line and deal with it there, with this opening. Something I'm not doing because we're setting up for a defensive posture is I'm not putting my lings over here. So I don't really know what his Zealot count is. That's the minus of playing this defensively. But now we get our confirmation when our Overlord comes up here. So we see 3 Zealots at 4 minutes. He could potentially have 5 Zealots at 4 minutes. But I see that he's making a cannon now, so he made a Forge. He probably made a Nexus back here. I'm assuming that he didn't make 4 Zealots and that there's not a Zealot on the map. So in the worst case, there's a Zealot on the map, but my lings are here, and they're gonna be able to handle that. I have 6 lings. I have 8 lings actually, and I'm fine. In the best case, he's just playing defensively. Like he went gate expand, but he didn't do anything with it. Which, yeah, I mean, he's he's opening gate expand defensively, like you're opening anti-gate expand defensively. It's just what he can handle at this point in time. And what does all this look like? Well, when I figure out what the zealots are doing, and I know that the zealots aren't at me, I can drone. When I have 300 minerals, I make a hatchery. When I need to make an overlord, I make an overlord. Now the only difference here is I need to be prepared for Corsair. And whereas before you made your gas right after your 5th hatchery, with this build, because you're also making lings earlier, because you're delaying your drones, it's not going to line up. You can't wait for your 5th hatchery to make gas. So you need to make gas before 420. 420 should be an easy number to remember. So just before 420, make your gas. And as soon as you have 50 gas, make your Hydroden. And as soon as you have your Hydroden and you have enough money for Hydra, then make some Hydra to cancel the first Ser out. If no Ser comes, then great. You're just going to have some extra Hydra. So now that I know that no Zealots are coming, I mean, he could still surprise me. He could be hiding it up over here and not come in and like dunk me, but dunk a couple of drones. That was a mistake. Don't let that happen. I put my lings up here. Once the rest of the shape go down, see, I put my Hydra den down as soon as I can. Did not start my layer yet. Start my second gas. Start getting +1 here. Now I make my hatch. So it's starting to take that shape of what it looked like in the defensive ZvP flow versus Forge Expand. We're getting slowly up to about 30 drones. Like the Corsair came and immediately got hit the Hydra, so we're just on time with the Hydra. This is all going good. The next step is we want to start layer somewhere. Getting our Hydra upgrades, get range, and once we start range, we start our layer at the same time. So this is all fine and dandy. And now get our 6th hatch. He's not coming out yet. And start building up Hydra to prepare for the first push. So now we're back in shape. We're about 30 seconds delayed compared to where we should be. Maybe a little bit later. How many Hydra are we at? We got 9 here, 7 here, 16. Yeah, 16. And how many are making? So we got 16 Hydras. So yeah, we're about 20, 25 seconds delayed compared to where we would be at with defensive ZvP flow versus Forge Expand. And that's all thanks to him being defensive. And he's even scared. So you can see that he flew over me and he doesn't realize what I'm doing because he just hasn't seen this kind of reaction to his gate expand before. He thinks I'm actually trying to Hydra bust him, whereas I'm just playing for a regular, normal, long game. Made 4 cannons. That's great. So I would even say that puts us a little bit ahead because that delays his push. That's all I wanted to show you here. Now I'm going to show you a different setup that is even more defensive. This is a build that is called 2-base 4 hatch. It was put forward by Hawk in a previous CPL season. It is specifically set up to make a sunken and over drone on 2 bases to about the same time that you saw there, like 7:30, 8 minutes. We're still on 2 bases. We're going to have the same amount of Hydra, but we're only going to be on 2 bases, so it's going to be much easier to handle. It's going to be much easier to handle Zealot harassment because we are hiding on the natural instead of having to deal with Zealots coming in everywhere. So let's see how this looks like. I'm guessing he's going to go open overpool. That build is on Bag of Builds. And that one you can kind of script. So this is like a more scriptable version of handling Gateway First Expand. Got overpool, everything is normal. Let's see how Hawk plays it. This one's going out. This one's going out. This one's scouting. This one is, oh, he has to come back, but the probe didn't go in, so he makes his hatch. So this one goes in scouts. Making 1 pair of lings, 2 pairs of lings, 1 drone. So a little bit different. So you don't have to do it this way. You can still follow the exact same tips that from the previous game. He knows its cross positions. But if you think about it, he made exactly the minimum amount of lings that you need to stop the first zealot. So if the first zealot happens to come, then he can handle it. And now he's pulling larva. So maybe this is a little bit. So he sees its gateway expand. He sees there's a one zealot here. So it's 257. We talked about this before. By this time, he could have 3 zealots. So are there more zealots on the map? Let's see. No, there are not more zealots on the map. There is one zealot halfway done, and then the nexus was built here. Like on the gateway expand side from, and then we make a third hatch. So let's see exactly when that went down. It's about 14 of 17. So that's about when you make your third hatch in at your third base, right? So this is a regular hatch timing. It's just in your natural instead. So what do you do next? He's chasing this probe, trying to get it. Now to shut down any sort of zealot harassment, like late zealot harassment, he's just making a creep colony. And now he doesn't have to make any more lings. Oh, he did make 2 more lings. I guess that's if like 2 zealots popped in right now. Now there's nothing that the toss can do to hurt us. So we can go heavy drones. We can get our gas. Droning, droning, droning. Get our Hydra Den. Make a Sim City for it. Keep on droning. Get a 4th hatchery in base as soon as we have the minerals. Overlords, Hydra speed, keep droning. This all looks very similar to what I was doing, except it's just on 2 base. And you can look at your natural because you're going to be rallying drones down here, right? Now we're making some Hydra, so the Hydra are out by 6 minutes. 6 minutes is usually when you're going to see a Ser come in. But this player that he's playing against did not go Ser. At least I don't think he did, based off what I was watching. Yeah, he didn't go Corsair. He's going Mass Gate. He's going Mass Gate because he is scared of what's going to come out of this. This is very weird for Protoss, right? They're not used to seeing you on 2 base. They're used to seeing you on 3 base. So when they see you on 2 base, they could overreact. Some players overreact by making a crazy amount of cannons. This Protoss player is like an S-class Protoss player because he kept calm and he didn't make more units than he needed to. He didn't even make more cannons than he needed to. He isn't scared of this. We'll see if that's good or bad. So what comes next? About this time, because we have a sunken here, um, we're not going to get hit yet. We're not going to get hit yet by early zealots. So we're taking our third base. Protoss scouts that we're taking our third base. So this is something you can do on this map, and this map is Fighting Spirit. This map has ramps at your third base, small ramps. So you can take a third with less units because you can put your units on the ramp. And if he's got like 5 zealots, 5 slow zealots right now, they're not going to get up this ramp because fighting from low ground up to high ground is a disadvantage and you have a miss percentage. So you can take your third off of less units. What are we doing here? We have 28 drones, maybe a little bit less drones than we'd want, but more or less around 30 drones just on 2 bases. We're oversaturated on our minerals. We're now starting our Evo chamber, starting our lair, and starting to make some Hydra just to defend. The Zealots come in. Let's see how this fight goes. Because we had a good SimCity, because we had a Sunken, because we had our Hydra behind the SimCity, Hawk, who this is an example replay from, he didn't even move his units here. He didn't even have to drone drill. All he did was bring down his units from here to help defend this. And that was an easy defense. And it was it was a decent amount of zealots because it was like 5 gateway zealot. Let's see how many zealots that was. Felt like a lot. Yeah, look at this. 10, 9 zealots, 11 zealots. It was 12 groups, 12 zealots, man. He held this like a champ. Look at this. I mean, they didn't have +1, so yeah, that could have hurt him a little bit. Oh, now +1 kicks in, but still, half these units aren't moving like the other ones are coming down. Look how easy that looked. With some practice, you can get to making it look this easy. So to sum everything up, because that's all I have to show, and I don't want this to go on for like 40 minutes or 50 minutes. To win versus Protoss, we need to scale. We need to get econ, we need to get upgrades, we need to get tech, specifically Hive. When we're doing it versus Forge, we can follow a script. We focus on econ and tech first, because the Protoss is not harassing us, not aggressing us. Then we can go to massing units at specific times when we expect the Protoss could be doing a timing. Versus Gateway, we can't do that because they are aggressing and harassing us early. So instead of being able to econ and tech, we have to juggle econ and making units to stop and step down the aggression. And then afterwards, we can tech. If we open this way or we open the other way, where we are trying to minimize the amount of units we make and maximize our econ, or we're opening this way where we're just putting down a sunken, keeping on 2 base, so we're minimizing harassment by lowering the surface area that the Protoss can harass us on. Then we effectively can get into the same state that we're in just a little bit later, playing on script versus Forge. So keep this in mind. Don't try to follow the same script as you do when playing versus Forge. Realize that you're going to have to make some units, you're going to have to prioritize other things, you're going to have to improvise a bit. And once you've stabilized, go back on script. Thanks for watching.